Okay, today we're going to look at playing out from the back and what structure we should take when we're playing out from the back. And we're going to do that in a 4-3-3 versus a 4-3-3 as well, because that's generally the most common formations that we get. I will look at a back three later. So I've added a back four in now. I'm going to add the front three in a second, and then I'll layer in the midfield three as well, just so you can see what it looks like with opposition. So let's look at the player movements then. So we're in the 4-3-3, so you've got back four, midfield three, front three. If the goalkeeper has now set with the ball, where do we want our players to go? And which, do we want centre halves to come and receive, or do we want full backs to receive? Personally, I want the centre halves to come and split and be in that position there. And then we say, if we're going to play here, where do we play next? But first, let's get the structure right. Pivot midfielder makes a triangle here. And what you don't often see, personally, what I really like is to have our fullbacks really, really high and brave here. That allows these players to tuck in into these central areas. And what that does is that creates an overload in this part of the pitch. So these two centre-backs have all of a sudden got three people to deal with. That means these fullbacks either tuck in here and offer us a little bit of space here. And we can come and play a little bit deeper here. And now we can start to layer in our other players. Okay? So what will generally happen, so let's bring these fullbacks back a second. So if your fullbacks aren't very high, it's very easy for a front three to come and do something a bit like this. And then when you do try and play out from the back, it looks easier on a tactic board, but this is quite difficult because they can press. It's very easy to make mistakes. Once you push those players a little bit higher, so the fullbacks a little bit higher, what that does is give these two players something to think about, so the left wing, right wing. So you might have spotted it already, fullbacks here. You might have spotted it already, but what this does, so now that we've took these players in, we've pushed our fullbacks high, what that does, it gives us two or three options. So we want to ultimately get the ball to our fullbacks, who are nice and high, and then we can play from there. If these players have pressed on, and they're being brave, and they're trying to stop us playing here, the direct ball to here from the goalkeeper is on, and that's perfect. We'll do that straight away. Because there's going to be a gap here. It might even be 2 or 3 yards this way. That fullback doesn't want to come there and leave a 3-on-3 here. So that fullback's got to tuck in. Okay, so the direct ball there is the ball, or a direct ball here is perfect, and we can just turn and play. If what normally happens is these come and just sit in a halfway space here and here, and let's like layer in our midfield as well. So we'll have a pivot and two there, okay, something like that. So what will generally happen in this midfield area is this player will come and lock on here, and another player will come and lock on to our CDM there. So they're man for man in this area. What I would encourage these players to do is, again, just come and congest this area, give these players more things to think about, and that gives us more space to play here, okay? So we've already discussed if we either come here or here. If these players have got a 4 and they're pressing us to stop us playing out here, then we just play a ball into our fullbacks, straight to our fullbacks, and we turn and play from there. And then you've got some really nice in-to-out runs to come from here. And then you need 2 passes, here to here, and then if they put that ball there, and we've made an in-to-out run there, so a straight ball diagonal run, then in 2 passes we're in the opponent's final third. Or generally what happens is, like I said earlier, is these players will just start to come and move here in a half and half position. And that'll leave our pivot, our 2 wide centre-backs, and our goalkeeper to play. And now what we've got now is we've got a 4v2 overload. And these are situations you see all the time in a 4v2 overload in training, so we've got the advantage. One thing to stress at this point is that if you haven't got the correct profile of player here, here and here, don't play out from the back, because you're going to get into all sorts of trouble, and you're going to get yourself into positions where you lose the ball in your own final third and you concede a lot of goals, or chances at least. So goalkeeper has to be comfortable with the feet, and the instructions to these players has to be clear in terms of what you expect from them. So we're in a 4v2, we're going to play here, or either side, and then that press is going to come. So ideally this player wants to start to move away, and that allows us space to drive into here. This player might press here, but the one thing that we want to achieve is that we've driven into a certain amount of space, okay? football is a game of yards. We want to get higher up the pitch. Already, if we do that, and they might want to start a little bit higher, we've driven to a certain point, okay? If they press here, the ball is into a midfielder and it's a one-touch pass out here. That's the objective, remember, is we're trying to get to the fullback. Or if we're playing here, we've drove to a certain point and the press has been locked on, then this is where the goalkeeper and this player are really important, because we're playing with our goalkeeper and we're coming out this side to drive here. That might attract a press here, but again, we're playing and we're overloading. This player should always be reasonably spare. And when I say reasonably spare, there's enough doubt with the players around them. They're not taking responsibility fully. They shouldn't be taking responsibility fully. So they should be 2 or 3 yards that this person can play. Really, really important, the instruction as well, is when that ball comes into the midfield, if we can't play straight to there, it might be that press comes, this one's dropped an angle and they can turn and play here. But if that passing lane is being blocked there, then we do have to come in. That's going to be tightly marked. We have to have confident players in these areas as well. They can play off 1 or 2 touches, and what's really important is they know as soon as they receive from here, that's the objective. There's no question in their mind the ball has to come here. That means they can use their body shape, they can get physical contact, they can maybe have an arm off. So when this player is run into this space, that's a trigger for them. Get contact with their player, push, so that pushes them back a yard, then they can come and get the ball. It can come here, and then again we've got that in to out run, straight ball down the line, diagonal run, should be on side, and then we're playing in these areas. Okay, I'll just close by just reiterating why we should be playing out from the back. And you want to ask yourself actually, why do you want to play out from the back? It's not just for pretty football. It shouldn't just be for pretty football. There should be an objective in mind. It might be that you haven't got the right profile of player to kick long and to win a ball and try and win this ball in these areas. But it's really, really important that you understand that the best way to play out from the back is for the goalkeeper to go straight from there to there, like you saw Edison do to Haaland a couple of weeks ago. That is the most effective way to play out from the back, and it is playing out from the back to go direct there. Football's a territory game. It's an invasion game, so you want to get from here to here in as little passes as possible and score a goal. That's the point of football, okay? So we're trying to get territory. That's why I say when we get into these areas here, we're trying to drive, and it's really important that when we talk about playing out from the back, that we're not just thinking about passing and the tiki-taka football and we're passing in triangles, that if we get the space to drive into, that we get and claim that space, because the worst thing that can happen is that the press comes in, that we maybe passing lanes are blocked here, and all we have to do is reset, come back out and come out another side, and we switch play and go out here, okay? So claim territory, don't get caught up in more passes is better. The least amount of passes is the best possible outcome. That's why I've got a clear objective that I want to get to fullbacks. Okay, let's just reset our opposition. They're half and half. Okay, we've got our CDM here. And there's a 3 in midfield here. So sorry, that comes back in. Striker, 2 wingers, midfielder. They're locked on. Okay, they're all locked on. So clear objective. I want to get here. I'm ideally looking to do that in one pass. That's my first option. That's always the best option for the goalkeeper. Second option is to play here, drive 2 passes if possible, or into here and 3 passes. They're my 3 options, okay? So the maximum amount of passes it should take for me in an ideal scenario is to get to my objective is 3 passes. My ideal scenario to get into the opponent's final third with an into-out run and a straight pass against a diagonal run is 4 passes into the opponent's third. That's my objective. Now, I know football is a chaotic game and it doesn't always happen like that, and it might be that actually we get across, they create a really good block, we've got to come out the other side, and it doesn't always work. You might get a turnover of the ball and then you have to defend and transition quickly, but I've got a very clear objective that I want to get out to here in 1 to 3 passes, and then I want to be into the final third in a 4th pass. Now let's take a look at how we operate in a back three, so a 3-5-2. Now I'm going to layer in the midfield in a second, just so it's not so congested now. But you see we're playing against a back 4. We've got 2 strikers. Our wing backs are going to take the full back positions in the previous structure. So we're still looking. This is still the objective here and here. we've got our midfield three, and we've got an opposition that's playing a 4-3-3. So again, they're just a little bit unsure of where to press here and here. Okay, what I would actually do is in my midfield three is instead of playing a single pivot, I'd go to a double pivot and bring that back down. But let me just show you why in a second. So in terms of structure, we've still got our wide centre halves have split into these areas, so the pattern is still the same. And our central centre half has just moved into this area. Okay, so we've got, again, a 4v, whatever it might be, overload, but we've got 4 players. If they come and join in, we could go 4v3 in terms of overload. And if we're really brave and want to play it from the back, but I think they'll come and do this. So let's put the opposition midfield in. They're going to have a single pivot and two higher players. Like I say, I would move our player to a 10 here, and then have 2 players that come and drop into these areas. And that gives us a 3 and a 2 in terms of build-up, and allows our wing-backs to get nice and high, okay? That keeps them locked in. So we want our 2 here. There shouldn't be ever a back 4 in the world that wants to defend man for man there. They're going to want to tuck somebody in, at least on one side, okay? So they're probably going to tuck in the opposite side. So if the ball is on this side, they're probably going to tuck in this side. If you've got a goalkeeper that can go from there to there in one pass, do that. You're out again. And again, we're trying to play here a straight ball into outrun down here. And the same would be true if they're pressing really high on here, because that is, teams will do that, but they're going to be really unsure of these areas, okay? They're going to be really unsure. It might be that fullbacks come and I should have said this earlier, if the fullbacks do come and press here, and you've got a 2v2 here, put that ball on there. Just do it. Put the ball on there. Best case scenario, you get a flick on, you're playing in your opponent's third, and all of those players need to get off the pitch. That is the best option if you've got a 2v2 option here, is just to put that ball on your strikers. It's not a hoof, it's not a long ball. Don't be scared of going direct. If that ball goes from there to there, all we need is a touch and to win a second ball. And all of a sudden we're playing in this area. Remember, football is a territory game. We're trying to advance up the pitch as quickly as possible. The only purpose of possession football is to advance up the pitch in a relatively low risk scenario if you've got the right players. So if the fullbacks do come in that, I would be gobsmacked if they do, but if they do, put the ball on. More than likely, at least one of the fullbacks is going to come and do that, tuck round, so they've got 3v2 against your strikers. Put the ball here, if they're pressed on. It might be that that player come and does that actually to cater for that imbalance, so all of those 4 players are taken, and these come and split in a 2 here. In that case, I would drag these out wider, and then you've got and potentially this one a little bit higher, and then you see how the rondo just takes effect. So this is where a rondo is actually quite important in playing out from the back, and I would probably do a rondo in essence of like a positional sense. So we can play here, that might invite a press, so we can play here and we can drive on, okay? So we're always looking to drive into those yards. Where is the overload on the pitch? How can we find the spare player? And I think last message from me is, remember the goalkeeper is always unmarked. That is why you see teams like Edison will do it as well, where they'll get the ball back to the goalkeeper in play, and they'll put the foot on the ball until someone presses, and then they'll play out here so they can play, and they'll draw the pressure. But what will happen post that is that player will come here. Always remember that your goalkeeper hasn't got a marker, because they're never marked, okay? Because it's just the natural flow of the game. So you can always turn, absolute worst case scenario, turn, play back to your goalkeeper, reset, try again, okay? Because what you'll find is that sometimes if it's not working, if the opposition are locked on, they're doing a particularly good job of being structurally sound, players will get frustrated and they'll just go through the thirds too quickly from here to here when it's not on. Defence are in a good position, maybe their goalkeeper's nice and high as well and they can come and get that, okay? So frustration will set in, we'll play poor balls, and they'll get picked off. The best option is always, if we can't play forward, we can't play sideways, is just to come back here, reset, centre half split nice and wide. Again, same options apply.